All right, so today for our new unit, we're talking about surface area. So I want to go over some of the basics for these easier questions. Next video, we'll talk about more complicated ones when we're dealing with harder versions of these two shapes. So just to start, surface area over here. Surface area means the amount of space on the outside of a 3D object. So whichever 3D object we have, these three are the basic ones we'll be working with. We want to know how much space is on the outside. How much paper would it take to cover it on the outside? So we measure it in units squared because we're putting 2D shapes on the outside. How many pieces of paper, or how big is the paper on the outside? So the first thing we got to do is draw a net to think about what shape this is. So when I look at this prism, this rectangular prism, there's squares on both sides. Cool. They're exactly the same. They're 3 by 5, 3 by 5. We'll call those A. Okay, those are the little squares. Then there's the rectangle that connects them in the middle. That's going to be 9 by 3. And then there's the next side, which would be the base in this case, which is still 9, but it's by 5. Then there's another one of these, 9 by 3. Make that a little clearer. 5. And then there's one more, 9 by 5 as well. Okay, so the idea is that base, let's just draw it here, that base is 9 by 5, and the top is 9 by 5 as well. Those were these ones right here, the 9 by 5 and the 9 by 5. The 9 by 3s is the front that we can see right here, 9 by 3, as well as the one that's on the back of it, that it's the same, the mirror shape. So we have here the 9 by 3. Okay, so let's call those 9 by 3s, we'll call them C, and then we can call the 9 by 5s, we'll call them D. We'll call it B, why not? B. So we have three different shapes. We have the two squares that match up A's. We have the 9 by 5 rectangle, which is B, and the 9 by 3 rectangle, which is C. You're always going to have with these ones 3 different pairs. So the idea is to find the surface area, we need to do this formula. We have to add the A's together, the B's together, and the C's together. But the only thing is that if we look at A, right, that's the surface area of A, there's 2 of them. And there's 2 B's, and there's 2 C's. So we need to find the area of each and add them all together. So let's find the area of each one. So area for A is, well, length times width. Okay, and we have our shape over here. So that's going to be 3 times 5, and that's going to be 15. Cool. So I can put that 15 into A right over there. So this could be 2 times 15. Now I need to find B. So to do B, and we look on our picture, it's going to be 9 times 5. Oh, sorry. Length times width. So it's 9 times 5 is 45. So I'm going to put the 45 in right here. And then for C, which is this one right here, the 9 by 3, I have to do, again, the calculation. Length times width. 9 times 3. So I get 27. So I put my 27 in. So the idea is we found out how big each shape is. Those are the 3 different sides on the rectangle. And then we're going to add them all together, and we have to multiply each one by 2. So this one's going to be 2 times 15, 30. 2 times 45 is 90. And then 2 times 27 is 54. And now when I add them all together, I get 174 inches squared. So that means that the entire shape, if I had to cover the whole outside of the rectangular prism, it would give me 174 inches squared. If we did these two shapes, as I'm going to show you right here with examples, it's going to work the exact same way. We just need to draw the pictures. I think the pictures for these are actually easier. So if we look at this one, the cylinder, let's do it over here. So I have a circle on both sides. And then in the middle, if you unroll it, it's actually like a piece of paper, as a rectangle. So the circle we'll call C for circle, and let's call this one R for rectangle. Okay, so to find the total surface area, it's going to be 2 times the circle, because there's 2 circles, plus whatever r is, because there's only one r. So let's calculate c over here. I know this, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So let's put the numbers in. Pi 3.14. And then for radius, be careful. See how it says over in the picture over here, 7 all the way across? Radius is only half the way across. So radius would actually be 3.5 squared. And then when I put in my calculator, I'm gonna get the final answer. Let's check. So I got 3.14 times 12.25, because I did the squared first. And then I ended up getting 38.465. Cool. So I'm going to put that as C into there. It's going to be 2 times 38.465. Now I need to find R. So R we'll do down here. Let's do it in a different color. R. R is a little tricky. It's a rectangle, so it's going to be length times width. So the length, well, that's this, right? That's how tall it is. We had in the picture it was 11.5. No problem. The width is a little weirder. The width is this number right here. It didn't tell me the width. But if we look at the picture, it told us that all the way around the circle, the circumference, was 21. So I can use that 21 as the width, because that's how long it was as we unrolled this paper, because it wraps all the way around the circle. So we can use those numbers and figure out the area. I got 241.5. Cool. So I can put that number into the equation. And then now I need to add them together, multiply by 2 as well here. Final answer I got was 318.43. I need to use units. It used centimeters, so I'm going to use centimeters squared as my final surface area. All right, let's do the last one. We'll do it down here so we have a little more space. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is draw my net. So I have my triangle and my other triangle. So the triangle is 6 tall, and it's 4 on the bottom, 7 on the side. And then this bottom rectangle, let's see right here, okay, it's 4 by 12. So we got 4 by 12. The 2 rectangles on the side, they're obviously going to be 12 on that side as well, but these lengths are actually going to be what's on the side here. So they're going to be 7, because they touched along this edge and this edge. So now I have all my shapes. So let's call the triangle T, and we'll call the rectangle R. So my surface area of the entire thing, I have to add all the shapes together. So I have 3 triangles plus 2 rectangles. So let's figure out my triangle. Area of a triangle, you remember, is base times height over 2. So we'll put in the numbers is 4 is the base, height is 6 over 2, 24 over 2, 12. And then let's do R. So it's just length times width. Oh, I almost made a mistake. If we look, this rectangle in the middle was 12 by 4. These rectangles on the side are 12 by 7. So they're actually different ones. So we'll call that one R, and we can call this one Q, whatever you want to call it, so I don't forget. And there's a Q there. So our equation's actually going to be plus 1R plus 2Q. There we go. So when we do R, we do the length times the width, which was 12 times 4. When I look at the equation, right? 4 is there, 12 is there. So I get 48. And then when I actually do Q, it is length times width again, and it's 12 times 7. So we're going to get 84. So now I can use all of these numbers in my equation over here. So 3 times T is going to be 3 times 12. 1 times R is going to be 1 times 48. And 2 times Q is going to be 2 times 84. So now when I actually do that math, I get 36 plus 48. It's an ugly 4. Plus, what's that? 168. And then I add them all together and get my final answer. I'm going to double check on a calculator. I got 252. I need to put units, so I'm going to put centimeters squared because it was centimeters in the question. And that's how we find it. You go through the steps. So the steps were draw your picture. Remember that there's going to be different rectangles aren't always the same size. We got to be very careful that we use different dimensions. We write our equation, which basically means adding all of those sides together. Sometimes you multiply because there's some repeated sides, like 2 circles or 2 triangles or whatever. And then we're going to find the actual areas by using the formulas that we have from last unit. They're the same because we have squares, rectangles, and triangles. And then we add them all together. And we add them all together to find our final answer. And we got to be careful about those units that we say it's squared because we're finding out how much paper fits on the outside of a shape. That's the basics. What I suggest you do for practice, go back to these questions. Let me take this, I'll move it over here. Go back to these 3 questions, try to do them on a piece of paper to check what your answers are, and then go back in the video and see what the answers were to check to make sure that you did everything right. And we'll do more practice in class. All right.